James.
Yes,
So we're looking
Ange.
at like the last 5 years, 2020 to 2025. We're talking to a lot of builders, and the whole sense that we're getting is that a lot of these builders over this last 5 years have gone through a lot. They've experienced all emotions. They've grown their business, they've grown their team, but they've also had lows and shortages and things,
Yeah,
and
you've
gone
had-
through every challenge.
Absolutely. In terms of supply shortages, price hikes, big changes in RBA changing rates, huge stimulation in the market, and then a dropping out of the market, and depending on where you're at, in what location, there's been a lot going on. Some guys have really struggled. Some guys have, like I said, done really, really well, but that path wasn't straight, wasn't easy.
No.
Plus, you have the human element. You have a lot of just human. You've been dealing with human beings at the end of the day. You're a human being that needs to be able to get up and get at it every day. You have a whole team that you need to lead and keep them motivated and give them purpose. You have your clients. So a lot of factors, but yeah, you're right. I think for a lot of guys, the last 5 years, and it's interesting that we're sitting down having this conversation, being that it's 5 years, because 5 years is a really nice time period to look at, to assess things. But I think for a lot of guys, the last 5 years been a bit of a blur. There's been so much happening. It's just gone like crazy. I find like I'm having that conversation more and more with guys. It's like, man, where's this year gone? I feel like we were only getting started this year just the other day. And then you think, and you know, when I talk to guys and they share a story, often they're like, where was that? You know, and they lose track of where does that story fit in the last 5 years? Is it, you know, I know that it's probably halfway to lately, but where does that fit? Or when did that exactly happen? So yeah, it's been a blur for many guys. And I think there's looking at the opportunity of that. When you assess 5 years, you can look at the 5 years, sit down and go, okay, well, what do I want to do differently, better? What do I want to change when I look at the forward for the next 5 years? I think 5 years is a great milestone because a really good friend of mine mentioned the quote once, and he probably pulled it from someone pretty wise, but you overestimate what you can do in a year and you underestimate what you can do in 10.
Yeah.
And so 5 is a great middle point, check, stop, to go, how am I tracking?
That's right.
Because you've given yourself more than a year, 5 times more than 1 year. You should start to see some really good data as to, am I heading in the right direction?
Yeah.
And there's still plenty of time to course correct if you need.
That's right. And kind of, if you look at the problem at the moment, is like you had 5 years. Like if we look at every business, like mostly every business has grown in some way. And the thing is, the question you got to ask yourself, how have you grown? Because a lot of builders are finding that, yes, they've grown a lot in revenue and they've grown a lot in that side of things, but they feel like they've got less freedom now. They started the business to create freedom, but now after years of working, yes, they're earning more and doing all these great things and great builds, but now their freedom feels less. And the problem there is that it's called like the golden handcuffs, because you've built something that's become like golden. It's become amazing, but without you realizing it, it's putting cuffs to you. It's handcuffing you in a sense of you're becoming a servant to the business instead of the business being a vehicle and a servant to you, to your team, to the clients, to your family, and so on. And that's a general consensus that going, wow, if you don't stop right now and revisit the last 5 years, like you just said, then suddenly you could keep growing that handcuffs. So right now is the best time to stop and then just to kind of revisit everything. And what would you say from your perspective? What are things that they can kind of look at for the last 5 years? What are simple ways just to review yourself?
One thing I'd like to encourage a lot of our listeners to do is to celebrate the wins. For a lot of the guys we work with, talk with, they're very ambitious. And so one of the challenges, I guess you could say the curses of being ambitious is you're always looking forward, always looking up the mountain. and you're not looking down. How far have I come?
Yes.
What progress have I made? And
That's
I
right.
see this a lot with our guys when we talk about on the biz video side of things. When we talk about what stories we're going to help them tell, they're like, oh, this project I've just won it. I'm about to start it. It'll be done in a year's time. I want to do an amazing story on this, a real big deep dive on it. And then we come towards like two-thirds, three-quarters of the way through the project, and we start talking about, if we haven't been documenting the story along the way, we start talking about planning for telling the story at the end, and they say, no, don't worry about that one. This next one is going to be it.
It's always the bigger one forward.
There's always a bigger, better one coming. And that's a sign of great ambition and you putting in the right work to sit and seeing the reward. That's awesome. But if you keep doing that, you're not capturing, documenting the wins that you're having, you know, and you can capture and those stories and tell those stories in a way that doesn't anchor you to the fact that it was a smaller project. You know, we never emphasize the scale of a project if it's not necessary. So there's,
Very good
I think
point.
that's celebrate the wins would be a big one. And then identifying what you liked, what you want to keep, and what you think needs to go. And then take that and go, cool, all right, now where do I want to go? And I forget I can't remember where I found this, but the idea of when you look at where you want to go, think about what that is. Think about the person that is needed to do and achieve that, and then start acting like that person. Yeah. Before you know it, you'll be that person.
That's right.
Because I think when we look back at this being a blur, you have to take action. You've seen how fast 5 years can go. We don't want to wake up in 5 years and go, oh, yeah, did I end up where I wanted to end up?
Yeah.
So having the goal is incredibly important, and then working towards it, and having checkpoints along the way.
Yeah, that's cool. I like what you said, like to really look at the wins as well, because there's things that you've done in the last 5 years that have worked really well. And if you don't take the time to think about those things, like those are the things that you need to keep implementing or even take it to another level. But you need to remove the waste. You need to remove the things that wasn't bringing the fruit in the business.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's this big topic that I've been listening to lately and that we've been discussing and stuff, is this thing of like scaling. There's been a big thing over the last few years of scale and hustle and do this and like grow your business and stuff. But I think there's a longing for a lot of people inside of them to build something that is longevity. Mm-hmm. It's got, it's going to bring fruit, not necessarily just scaling the business, but something that's lasting, like you say. And I think, to me, even thinking that myself, and even how we reflect in the last 5 years now, kind of going, how are we going to do the next 5 years? And I think that is a big thing of what do we want to do differently this time? What worked really well, but what do we want to do differently that's going to bring the fruit in everybody's lives around, from us within the business, our families, but also the clients, the builders that we work with, and their families and their teams.
Yeah.
And that's a big pondering thing to go, you know what, it's not about the scale side of things. It's now going, basically, what's the vision for the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys I speak to, because there is a lot of content out there or business advice out there that talks about scaling and growing and stuff like that. And a lot of guys I talk to don't really want to scale or grow. Depending on what stage they're at in their business life cycle. Early days, yeah, you probably do want to scale because you can't. In the very early days, you're doing everything yourself. So yes, you do want to scale to a point where you can pay wages for team. They can take some off your plate. But not everyone wants to get to doing, 20 projects a year, or depends on the scale of them, 50 homes a year. A lot of guys don't want that. I talk to some guys who I just want 1 to 2 architectural new homes a year. That's where I can give my clients absolute attention. No detail gets missed. It's enjoyable. My team loves it.
Yeah.
My team gets such satisfaction from being a part of this family on site, and we get to enjoy this. And the we work with clients that respect my team, and my team enjoys hanging out with the clients on site when they come to visit. I hear that a lot, and that's important to identify. Often when we talk about growth, that is an example of what someone wants to grow to. It's not about scaling. I want to grow to where the business is in that position. It was really awesome to talk to one of our guys 2 weeks ago who, I think I have maybe mentioned this on another podcast, but he had a bunch of personal stuff come up this year, and he's had to focus on that. And he just realized in the last couple of weeks, coming to the end of the year now, and this last year has been actually a really good year for the business. And he's like, but I've hardly been at the helm of the ship.
Yeah.
So it's great for him to be able to look back and go, you know what, there's an example. You've put the right systems in place. But his business it's not a year old. He's been putting those things in place for a decade, you know. It'd be interesting to nut that out. He's coming to the summit, which would be exciting.
Oh, that's cool.
To have him share about that. You know, look at identifying with him, what did his last 5 years look like? And what, if he were to do it again, what would he do? And what is he going to be taking of the last 5 years? What is he taking into the next 5 years? So, yeah.
That's good. And I think that's the thing, James, like just coming back to the point there of like, now it's very good time to get clear on those things. We know that now, and to set that next 5 years of vision. But the problem is doing this alone is really hard because you don't, it's just a hard thing to do. I mean, why would you say, why is it difficult to do that alone?
I think.
And what would you say to builders to do?
I'm getting real nitty gritty here pretty quick, but a lot of our guys, they are successful what they do and have gotten to a certain stage because of who they are and how their mind works. Their mind focuses on the detail, very analytical. The costly side of that is that they overanalyze a lot and they internalize a lot. And I would say that kind of person, more so than your average Joe, needs someone else to talk with that's going to understand that and get that out of their head. I've often heard of talking to our builders who come along to things that we've been a part of, and the reason they're coming is just to talk to other builders, because where they've come from, they just don't. If you're running a business, for some people it's not about, I don't want to talk to the guy across the road because he's my competitor. It's like, I just don't have time. So I need something like the summit to carve time out, to sit down and go, okay, we can just openly talk here. And I can hear from you and go, okay, so what I'm doing is not failing. It's a part of, we're all moving in the right direction here. We're doing the right things. You're facing that too. Oh, thank goodness. Because I've been beating myself up for the last 6 months thinking, why is this not working? No, here's someone who was in that same situation and you're 2 months away from seeing the light. So that's incredibly encouraging. And I think for a lot of the guys out there, you're right, it is a lonely journey, and they need that encouragement.
That's good. And that's exactly it. And that's the cool thing about why we've set up this summit. And it comes at such a good time in the year, especially starting 2026 for the next 5 years. Yeah. If you are finding it hard to kind of reevaluate and set a vision, then this would be something really good for you, because within this, you're going to not only have other builders there as a bit of a backboard to go, hey, give you a bit of truth. Hey, maybe that's not the best way to do it, or maybe this is the better way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, what you're referring to there, we call the hot seats.
Yes.
So again, coming back to the feedback we've had from builders over the last 7 years of running and being a part of events and stuff like that, is that it is incredibly, I don't want to use the word incredible too much, but like, I'm just so excited for this event.
Yeah.
It is very useful, practical, to share something, a challenge, and have someone go, oh yeah, I had that last year and this is what I did. And so you're not, I mean, Cornell and I were talking about just earlier, the idea of the tax you have to pay. Not tax to the ATO, tax on learning, tax on making mistakes. Well, what if you didn't have to pay tax? I mean, like, does anyone like paying tax? No. So,
no.
We talk about it in business sense. Would you not prefer to have someone come and go, hey, this is how we can avoid you having to pay that learning tax or that learning fee. Here's something I've especially if my business is like yours. And that's a big thing is making sure guys are coming to the event, understanding what they want to work on, understand what they're really good at, and making sure that that's being discussed at the tables. But coming back to the hot seat, yes, getting other guys to input into your business and your life and things you're working on. We've designed the event to have on multiple occasions opportunity for that, because again, feedback has been, I loved the conversations happening around our table. There just wasn't enough time to really dive deep, or not everyone got to share, or I didn't get to share, or I started sharing with them, and then there was the next speaker. So that's been something we really want to implement. Make sure that there's opportunity for everyone at the table to share and get fed, get their cup filled up.
And what do we want them to then ultimately walk away with? Having been through all that, like the deep dives, the hot seats, the relationships, the connections.
There's a few things. Probably for me personally, I think because of how I interact with a lot of our builders and builders in general, I would love to see guys walking away from this event with really good new friendships and relationships that they can lean on and call upon. Relationship that goes both ways, that they can walk away with. Maybe it's someone from the area, or maybe it's someone from a completely different state. But those relationships are incredibly important. I think a lot of guys don't have those relationships. And what I mean by that is someone who they can resonate with, who they feel like really gets them and they understand, who's in their situation, is walking their journey, has their level of ambition and drive. And sometimes you need that third party to vent and talk about stuff with. You don't have anyone around you because maybe they're involved in it or something like that. So that's a big one, the relationships. Another one would be just finding purpose and drive again in what they are doing. Fall in love with what they do, because we've heard of the challenges that they've been through. We've discussed some of these already, and I just think these guys have put a lifetime into what they do.
Yeah,
like they've already put so much work in, and so you've already got. If you look at it like that, that's such momentum. And so it might just require little tweaks to find that love for it again, that allows you then to put in that effort and enjoy the effort to see the fruits you want to see, which are so close. They might just be around the corner. They might just be over the hill. But, if you might be just, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I can't, I don't have my tank's empty. And so having someone else go, all right, I hear you. I've been there. You're that close. Let me help you. One thing that I thought I would have been asked this more, and I'm surprised I haven't. So maybe we're already communicating it well, or maybe just, I guess the guys maybe see it in our hearts, maybe in why we do what we do, but especially on the inspired builder side of things. But for you, if a builder said, hey, I want to come to this event, but just answer me this one question. Why are you doing this? Why take on this additional load to organize this whole summit when there's no direct impact to you? Why would you go and do that?
Personally, for me, it's like I'm super, super passionate about builders. We've been helping builders for 7+ years now, and
10 years.
More. That's right. Yeah. But like what I've seen is that builders carry some of the biggest loads. I'm sometimes so appreciative and going, wow, I don't know how you guys, when I say you guys, when I say builders, what you do, but also the effect and the ripple effect that you have, not just on the overall the overall economy of Australia and even the world. You have so many people that you impact. Without the building industry, the economy won't function as it is. That's just from like a very large scale. But what I have seen and I've realized is that there's a great shift that we can't do things alone. We can't run businesses alone. Even us, like running a business and stuff, it's like we need people around us. We were created to have people around us to do things together. And there's something so special when you're able to connect and journey alongside someone else that does something very similar to you. And so for us, it's like we are so busy with everything that we do for our clients, but it was like we can see the power. We've seen like how many examples over the last few years of builders where even one builder and another builder started becoming friends, and the fruit that has come from that, just them, like you've just shared before, how they're just able to share with one another, just be able to journey with along. Then you're not feeling alone anymore, and you feel like you can now conquer the world together. So for us, it was like, cool, to create this event, we can ultimately get the same like-minded people in a room. Yes, some will be at, doing massive numbers down to like, yes, early stages in their building career. But there's this thing that those things shouldn't be the thing that stops you from connecting if there's a variance in that. And so I guess just getting back to my point, having people in the same room kind of look at this next 5 years, deep dive into what's worked in some businesses over the last 5 years. What are we going to take into the next 5 years? But ultimately walk away with maybe a few relationships that you can take further and go deeper with. Like that to me is huge. Like that's what kind of drives, from my personal perspective, is that I hope that every builder, and I know that every builder that comes, going to experience something in this event that's going to propel them for this next 5 years. That's going to make them, it's going to be a different 5 years to the last 5 years. And that's what I'm hoping as well for every person. From your perspective, what
I don't know.
That was very long-winded.
I don't know if there's much I can add to that, Ange.
That was very long-winded.
No, I like that.
But from your perspective, like you personally, because you talk every day, you talk to builders. Like to those people listening to this right now, JP talks with builders every single day. So you are pretty much a builder, but you're not a builder.
I'm not a builder.
I mean, as in like you understand.
I hang out with builders, and I'm very grateful for the fact that they hang out with me. They give me time. Yeah. Me personally, I get a big kick out of seeing others succeed. I love celebrating with our builders when they have a win. And it might be anything from securing the next big project to an architect reaching out to them, finally getting early contractor engagement on a project, being able to take a Friday afternoon off to go watch their son play footy. There's so many wins to run their first marathon, half marathon, ultra. There are so many things worth celebrating. And I love that I get to celebrate those things on this journey with our builders. And very grateful that I get to call our builders friends. And I've seen the fruit come of guys that are in a good, healthy mental space. And the right mindset, and surrounded by the good people, and having good relationships with like-minded people. I mean, just the weight off your shoulders, talking to someone that you feel like finally gets you. It's like, you go out for dinner with someone and you share something and they go, yeah, right. And then they share something like, you literally took that out of my mouth. How did you know that? There's such a freeing feeling of that. That I feel a lot of guys are just not getting the opportunity for, because they're just running their race and growing their business and managing their team and being awesome dads and being awesome husbands. And we have builders that are wives, female builders running their own companies. So they go home and they're running home and looking after their kids, their husbands, their parents. And when I think everyone can probably resonate with the fact that when you don't have the right things in place, it can be a pretty dark road, and there's no need for it. If based on the feedback we've had from just the podcast, it's like these people are screaming out for connection. And that's something I think we've been aware of even prior to the podcast 3 years ago. People are screaming out for connection. We're more connected these days through social media and online, and open your phone, you got all these texts from all these different people from all over Australia, the world. You're connected, but you're not
actually
actually connected. You're not really. Do you like? Yeah, it's just.
But I think that's the thing, and that's our duty, is that we want other builders to experience that, to come and experience that. I think if you haven't yet, like this is your moment.
Yeah, the duty, I think, is a really key word to use there, and I believe that. I feel like, God's given us the skill set that we have, and
Amen.
And the experience that we have, and the tools that we have, the connections, the network we have. What are we doing with it? I know not all the listeners out there are religious or anything like that, but it's like, man, when I get to those pearly gates, can I say that I gave it my all?
Yes.
And I used all of my skill set and all the energy that I had and everything you gave me, God, to do the very best to serve my fellow man on earth. And I just think we're at a time now where there's a need, and we have the tools and the resources to make this happen, and we have to do it.
Love it.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's finish it right there.
Yeah.
That was great. Thanks, James. Appreciate the catch up.
Thank you.